Okay, today's video is about reflexive and intensive pronouns and when to use who and when to use whom. So a reflexive or an intensive pronoun, they have the same form, and what that means is they do not change between objective case and nominative case, so you don't have to worry about that. They do change between singular and plural, and here is a list. Here's a chart here, and you should write this underneath the rules that we've been writing down underneath the other chart. And so a reflexive pronoun is anything with the word self at the end or the word selves. So this would be myself, yourself, himself, herself, itself, and then all of the ones with selves. Ourselves, yourselves, and themselves. The one with the V is the plural one. The one with the F is the singular one. And they say as much right here. A reflexive pronoun ends in self or selves and refers to the subject of the sentence or clause. So these cannot be used as subjects. They all have to refer to the subject. They can be used as a direct object, indirect object, object of preposition, predicate nominative. Any way you can use a pronoun, you can use an intensive pronoun except for a subject. You can never use these as a subject, and that's the big rule. They give you a bunch of examples here of ways that you can use them, and these are all reflexive usage. If you don't use it as an actual part of sentence, you can use them as an intensive pronoun, and it has no grammatical function in the sentence. That means it only exists there to create what's called tone. And tone is your attitude. So if you want to add a little tude to your sentences, you can throw in an intensive pronoun like this example. Simon himself developed both rolls of film. You put a little attitude here by putting himself, by saying, look at Simon, he's awesome. He did it all by himself. Here's another one. Jorge and Kim installed the tape player themselves. You don't actually need themselves. Look, let me get rid of it. The sentence still works. Jorge and Kim installed the tape player. But adding the word themselves really stresses that they actually did it, and it puts a little bit of attitude in the sentence. It increases the tone. All right, here's the rule, though. Note, his self and their selves, those are non-standard. This is like, I don't know, the way people might talk in another state using a different dialect that is not a standard dialect. All right, so 6K is the rule here. The pronouns ending in self or selves should not be used in place of a personal pronoun. So you want to avoid using these when you should use the word, I, or pretty much anywhere where you would use like a subject. The rule, here's what this rule is really saying. You're not allowed to say self or selves. You're not allowed to use one of the self or selves pronouns unless you have already used in the sentence the word that pronoun goes to. So here's non-standard. Mariah and myself went to the rodeo. So this is what I'm talking about. Like right here, myself, I haven't used the word I in the sentence yet. So if I haven't said I, then I can't say myself. Here's another one. I know I can depend on Katrina and yourself. Again, if I haven't said you, I can't say yourself. So here's the standard one. I know I can depend on Katrina and you. So the real rule here is you're not allowed to use these self or selves pronouns unless you have already, in the sentence, used the word to which it refers. Let's try review E a little bit. So we just have to fill the blank. And after you fill the blank, you have to write whether or not it's reflexive or intensive. It's reflexive if it goes back and takes the place of an earlier pronoun. It is intensive if it just adds attitude to the sentence. Let's try this. Will the principal himself preside at the academic awards ceremony? I'm being kind of sexist here because I just assumed that the principal was a male. But you'll have to assume one gender or the other, and that's kind of unfair that the book used the word principal because they're trying to trick you into being a little bit sexist, so I apologize for that. But anyway, will the principal himself? Our principal's male, so that's not that bad, but that is unfair of the book to do that. Will the principal himself preside at the academic awards ceremony? This right here is intensive. It only exists to add a little bit of attitude, like, ooh, the principal himself will be there. So this is intensive. So I'm going to write that here, intensive. Number 2, after I ace the test, I will give myself a pat on the back. All right, so myself here is an indirect object because the thing I actually give is a pat on the back. So this actually is doing a part in the sentence. So this is not intensive, this is reflexive because it actually serves a function. It's an indirect object. Like if it's a DO, an IO, or an OP, or predicate nominative, if it's any of those functions, it's going to be reflexive. All right, number 3. I bought myself a Scottish kilt. Same thing. This is an indirect object. So this is reflexive. Running out of room here. Probably should be writing in the book anyway. 4. Mark and Ginger should be ashamed of themselves. Themselves is okay to use here because we've already used who that refers to, Mark and Ginger, in the same sentence. This is an object of a preposition of, so this is not intensive, this is reflexive. All right, one more, 5. Evelyn herself raked the leaves in the front yard. So this is herself. Now this doesn't function as a direct object or an indirect object or an object of a preposition or a predicate nominative or any other ways that a pronoun can be used here. So this is intensive. This is just saying Evelyn herself. It just adds a little bit of attitude to the sentence. So this is intensive. All right, so go ahead and do 6 through 10 on your own.